Welcome back to the channel, everyone. There's never a quiet week when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, and after that shocking loss to the Denver Broncos, the rumors, frustrations, and heated debates have reached a whole new level. Fans are questioning everything from Dak Prescott's leadership to the defensive struggles, and even the coaching staff's direction. There's talk about players being benched, trades potentially on the horizon, and some insiders even whispering about changes at the top. This isn't just another post-game overreaction. This feels like a turning point for America's team, a moment where the Cowboys have to decide what kind of season they're going to have, one that unravels, or one that rallies and roars back. The loss to the Broncos wasn't supposed to happen, not in this way, not with this much talent on the Cowboys roster. Dallas came into that matchup with confidence, riding momentum, and plenty of expectations. But instead of putting the hammer down, they got punched in the mouth early and never recovered. The offense sputtered, the defense looked out of sync, and the overall energy was flat. After the game, cameras caught Dak Prescott sitting quietly on the sideline, clearly frustrated. Social media exploded with reactions, some blaming the quarterback, others pointing at the coaching decisions, and many questioning the heart of the team. And now, as the dust settles, the rumors are flying. Let's start with the most explosive one. Could Matt Eberflus be in trouble? Now, technically, Eberflus is the head coach of the Chicago Bears, but his name keeps popping up in conversations surrounding defensive philosophies and comparisons to Dan Quinn's system in Dallas. Some insiders have been floating the idea that Quinn, once again being mentioned as a potential head coach elsewhere, might be losing some of his grip on this defense. Others have been saying that if the Cowboys' defense continues to underperform, the organization could consider a staff shakeup mid-season, something Jerry Jones has never shied away from when he feels the team's losing its edge. Even though Eberflus himself isn't with Dallas, his defensive concepts were similar to what Quinn's trying to implement, and fans are making the connection that both systems seem to struggle in moments of adversity. But perhaps the biggest cloud hanging over the Cowboys right now involves star cornerback Trevon Diggs. There's growing concern that Diggs' recent setback could be more serious than initially thought. After his ACL injury earlier in the season, the Cowboys insisted that he'd make a full recovery for next year. But sources close to the situation are hinting that the timeline might be more complicated. Diggs has been spotted on the sidelines offering support, but there are whispers that the rehab process has hit a few bumps. If that's true, it's a devastating blow not just for this year, but for the long-term outlook of the Cowboys' secondary. His absence has already been felt in a big way. Without him, the defense has lost its swagger, that confidence that comes when you know your lockdown corner can erase an opponent's top receiver. Fans are also starting to notice how different this defense looks without Diggs. The secondary has been exposed repeatedly on deep routes, and quarterbacks seem far too comfortable targeting the Cowboys' corners. Even though Darren Bland has stepped up admirably, it's clear this defense isn't the same without its ball-hawking star. And with every passing week, more fans are asking, is this the real reason the Cowboys' defense isn't living up to the hype? Or is it something deeper, like poor play calling, lack of adjustments, or maybe a locker room that's losing faith in the system? And then we have Dak Prescott, the lightning rod of every Cowboys debate. Dak is one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in the league. When he plays well, he's praised as a leader, a warrior, a fighter. But when things go wrong, all the fingers point right back at him. After the Broncos game, those fingers turned into fists. The stat line didn't look terrible, but the eye test told a different story. The timing was off, the pocket awareness wasn't there, and most importantly, the emotional spark that Dak usually brings seemed missing. Some fans believe he's trying too hard to play within the system, not trusting his instincts, while others argue that the play calling is boxing him in and preventing him from being the dynamic leader he can be. Jerry Jones, as always, added fuel to the fire in his post-game comments. While he didn't call anyone out by name, his tone was sharp. He emphasized the need for accountability, and said the Cowboys shouldn't look like this with the kind of roster they have. Whenever Jerry talks like that, it usually means the front office is preparing to make moves. And that brings us to the trade buzz that's starting to swirl. Dallas has been linked to a few potential names, some realistic, others purely fan-driven, but the underlying message is clear: this roster may not be as complete as it looked a few weeks ago. Reports suggest the Cowboys have quietly been exploring the market for secondary help and possibly a wide receiver who can complement CeeDee Lamb. While Brandon Cooks has shown flashes, the offense has been too inconsistent in stretching the field. Some have even floated the idea of Dallas calling teams like the Raiders or Broncos to check on the availability of certain playmakers. On the defensive side, there's speculation about targeting a veteran corner or safety to stabilize the back end while Diggs is out. And if the losing continues, don't be surprised if a big name ends up on the trade block, because when Jerry Jones feels pressure, he acts fast and dramatically. The Cowboys locker room, according to multiple reports, is feeling that pressure too. Players are frustrated, and some have quietly voiced concern about the lack of adjustments in games where the momentum turns against them. Micah Parsons, who's usually the heartbeat of this defense, looked visibly frustrated against Denver. He told reporters afterward that the team has to look in the mirror and figure out who they really are. Those aren't just words, that's the kind of message that suggests some internal tension. And here's where it gets really interesting, because while fans are talking about firing coaches or blaming Dak, there's a growing belief that this team's problems are more about culture than talent. The Cowboys have built one of the most stacked rosters in the league, but the mental toughness seems to fade the moment things get tough. We've seen this pattern before: a few dominant wins early in the season, followed by mid-season turbulence that spirals into finger-pointing and frustration. The question now is whether this group can break that cycle or whether history is about to repeat itself again. Social media hasn't helped either. After the Broncos' loss, posts from Cowboys players started circulating, some vague, some emotional, and fans immediately began dissecting them. One post in particular, allegedly from a frustrated player, talked about trust issues on defense. That alone sparked speculation that some of the younger guys are losing faith in the coaching direction. Combine that with Micah's comments and Dak's body language, and you have the perfect recipe for drama, the kind that can either unite a team or tear it apart. There's also been a lot of discussion about whether the Cowboys are still mentally scarred from their previous playoff failures. Every time the team hits a rough patch, those ghosts seem to come back. You can feel it in the way they play, tight, hesitant, cautious. The swagger that defined them early in the year is gone, replaced by uncertainty. That's where coaching comes in. The great teams adjust and adapt, they don't let one loss define them. So now the spotlight is firmly on Mike McCarthy. He's been criticized for play calling before, and this latest loss only adds more fuel. Fans are asking, if this continues, does Jerry Jones consider making a bold coaching move before the season ends? It wouldn't be the first time he's done it. In the coming weeks, everything will depend on how the Cowboys respond. They've got a schedule that doesn't get any easier, and every team they face will be studying the Denver tape to find weaknesses. The offense needs to rediscover its rhythm, the defense must regain its identity, and Dak has to reassert his leadership in a way that reminds everyone why he's the franchise quarterback. Because make no mistake, if the Cowboys continue to slide, the national media will turn on them fast, and the trade rumors, locker room drama, and coaching hot seat talk will only intensify. This moment feels pivotal. The Cowboys can either come together, silence the noise, and prove that one bad loss doesn't define them, or they can let the noise consume them, the way it has in past years. The NFL is brutal that way. One week you're being hailed as Super Bowl contenders, and the next, people are calling for heads to roll. But that's the reality in Dallas. The expectations are always sky high, and when you wear that star on your helmet, every mistake gets magnified 100 times over. As we move deeper into the season, fans will be watching every move the Cowboys make. Will Jerry Jones pull off a surprise trade? Will Dak Prescott silence the critics with a statement performance? Will the defense bounce back, or will the absence of Trevon Diggs continue to haunt them? And most importantly, will Mike McCarthy keep his job if this spiral doesn't stop soon? Every week feels like a new episode in a never-ending drama, and that's what makes the Cowboys, love them or hate them, the most fascinating team in football. So, as we wrap up today's breakdown, one thing's for sure, the Dallas Cowboys are standing at a crossroads. The loss to the Broncos wasn't just a game, it was a wake-up call. Something has to change, whether it's the scheme, the energy, or the leadership. The next few games will reveal everything about this team's heart, character, and future. Cowboys Nation is restless, the front office is watching, and the NFL world is waiting to see if America's team still has the fight left in them. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the latest Cowboys rumors and reactions, don't forget to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments about who deserves the most blame for the loss, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you never miss a single update on your Dallas Cowboys.